Billiken fans, welcome back. It's Zach Miller.
And Peter Hale.
This is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I saw our subscriber numbers go up recently. That was really cool. And don't forget to comment down below if you have anything you have to say about the Billikens. I know we're going to get into a lot today. There's a lot we got to talk about. We've got Matt Rocchio coming in to talk state of the Billikens. And there's going to be a lot of things that I'm sure you all want to sound off on. So get down in the comments section and talk about it. Billiken fans, it is officially March, which means watching more basketball. And of course, 2 Men in a Garden salsa, along with your favorite bag of chips, goes unbelievably well with college basketball. If you're going to have some friends over, make sure you're stocked up. If you forget while you're at the grocery store, or you're simply an out of town Billikens fan, you can hit the QR code down below. Head over to their website, enter code MMP at checkout, and get all the salsa you need shipped free. They are the St. Louis Salsa and Pickle Company, bringing you everything from mild to screaming hot, hot mango and sugar free. They got pickles from classic dill to smoky barbecue. Like I said, visit them online, 2meningarden.com. Use code MMP. Follow them on social media at 2mensalsa on Instagram and Twitter. Pete, let's start it off. The good this week. Honestly, baseball might have been the good this week. But if we're talking basketball, the Billikens they clinched a share of the Atlantic 10 regular season championship, and they are the 1 seed in the A-10 tournament. We should definitely get into that stupidity. The bad, Pete, that George Mason game was really, really bad and was bordering on what are we doing here?
Yeah, that was really discouraging in a time where you really wanted them to sort of make a statement, going into the conference tournament. It feels like time to reassert the program, to let them know who's number one in the conference, to make them really the team to beat. And it really doesn't feel like that now, Zach, but we'll get into that.
And the what are we doing here is more of the macro question of what's going on with this team. Yeah. Things have not been right since that Dayton win. I don't think it's just one thing. And I think it's time to have a dialogue.
I think it is. Charles Barkley meme. Yes.
We're going to get into that. Of course, talk about these last two games, talk with Matt Rocchio, and it's coming up after this. Pete, men's basketball this week, the Billikens AP poll ranking surprisingly held on. They're actually we're still at 25, or we were.
We still technically are.
Yeah, we are technically still number 25 in the country after the loss to Dayton, dropping from 23. What did you think? First of all, the coaches poll, the Billikens did not move, still at 24. Louisville and BYU dropped out of both rankings. Tennessee dropped from above SLU to below SLU in the coaches poll. Pete, I think after, recording last week, I think you have to be shocked by what happened here.
No, for sure. Especially, being at that Dayton game, I just felt like, okay, that's it. The ranking is over. It was fun while it lasted, but I was genuinely surprised to see them still in there. I assumed we'd be in kind of the also receiving votes range. But I think just enough other teams lost to make it possible. But I just assumed, like, even with that, I kind of thought we'd be in the 26 to 30 somewhere. Like they tend to, we don't have as much wiggle room as some of those power conference programs as they're playing their way through the conference season. So yeah, it was really surprising. But Zach, I think it's safe to say we're probably done being ranked for the year, though.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting you say that, that wiggle room, and you think about what happened this week and the way this team has kind of gradually started to roll in the wrong direction. And it makes you wonder if it makes it that much harder. down in the mid majors, like away from the power conference, that you cannot take a day off. Like you have to be on at all times.
Yeah, you really, I mean, it's look at the conversation around Miami, Ohio for evidence of that, right? You know, they're now 31 and 0, but every single game they won, the conversation was, well, as soon as they lose, they're on the bubble, right? And to me, it's crazy. Like you just have no margin for error at all. And if you're like for us, we get a few games, right? But if you're in the MAC or, you know, which used to be a lot closer to the A-10 than it is now in terms of strength of schedule, but if you're in a conference like that or below, you have literally no margin for error. You have to go undefeated, or you have to play a crazy non-conference schedule, which, as we know, most of them are not capable of doing. Those would all be road games, and yeah, so it's just it's a shame that this is where we are, Zach, because it wasn't that long ago where SLU got a 5 seed and a 4 seed in back-to-back seasons, and the record was not as strong as what we have now. So it's crazy to go back and kind of look at how things have changed in the last decade.
Um, this week started off, I thought relatively well. It's a 79-65 win against Loyola at home, Wednesday the 4th, senior night for Robbie, Dion, and Paul. All three of those guys started alongside Jaden Schertz and Kellen Thames. Um, you know, I don't even know. I don't know where to really start with this one. It was what it was.
Yeah, I think it's cool that he started all the guys who are going to be graduating, right? Like three of them, Avila, Brown, and Otieno, as you said, those are the ones who are going to be out of eligibility. Schertz and Thames, Schertz being a walk-on, but Thames still has eligibility. Just like Schertz does, you know, they're listed as juniors on the roster. They're seniors academically. But I do think Jaden might be done playing after this season when he's done academically. So he might be moving on to other things. So we'll see there. But Isaac Holmes also in the same situation as those guys. He was honored as well. He got some time on the floor as well. Didn't start though. And Guy Phillips, Zach, emphasized Thames' extra year of eligibility so the crowd didn't get too upset or confused. But I think the biggest moment is probably when Schertz said to Thames, I look forward to doing it again in 26, 27. And the crowd went wild. You know, then he said, all right, let's get to cutting down some nets. So this was the post-game senior night celebration.
Don't toy with my emotions, Joshua.
So you were there. I assume you were still hanging out for the ceremony. What was the mood in there like?
I mean that I heard that right away because I jumped on my phone and started tweeting. I was kind of, I don't know, I was worn out. I'm getting old. No, it was a good ceremony. I wish people would stick around. This is really a sad number. Towards the end, and I thought it was a bummer because cutting down the nets in front of people. Again, we're going to get into cutting down the nets. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which I think people might be surprised to hear my opinion on that. It was good. It was good. I don't know. I thought so they did paintings, they had like the artwork for some of the guys, and then Kellen's was the picture of him saving the ball through his legs
at LaSalle,
which is still the coolest thing that's ever happened on a basketball court.
Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, let's talk about the game because the Billikens jumped out to that 18-6 lead, and it included a 12-0 run, and I said, that's game.
Oh, yeah.
That was,
I felt it too. I was like, here's the home closer, right? Like it's against the weakest team in the conference. I was just like, it's over. Like it's over at this point. Yeah. We got out to the hot start. They didn't. And I kind of just thought like, well, that's it, like their Loyola's going to stay healthy. And then SLU apparently decided to stop guarding Xavier Amos, Zach, who gave Loyola a 23-22 lead. So 18-6, all of a sudden we're down 23-22. He goes 4 of 4 from 3 in a short stretch of the first half. And of course, it happens to a guy who was entering this game a 25.8% three-point shooter. Of course it's him, right?
It's just why is it always that guy? It's like
Woody Newton.
It's like the Jaden shirts at the end of the bench. It's always a Jaden shirt holding the guy's back on a monster dunk. It's always the guy who can't make threes that comes in and shoots 60% from 3 every time.
It's crazy.
The Billikens would go into half up 8. I didn't think it was bad. It was not good. Mm-hmm. And, I think as Josh Schertz would say, shot variance, but it was lackluster. This was a chance for the Billikens to demoralize the arch nemesis, by just blowing them out from the jump. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do that. They was right there.
Yeah, and I think he was Amos is how they say his name everybody was saying his name, so I'm going to go with that. I assume that's how they pronounce.
He's not very famous.
That's right. They were saying Xavier Amos, so both his first and last name they're pronouncing differently. I don't. Maybe that's how his family pronounces it. I'm gonna
either way. Ew.
I know they're like both pronunciations are off. Anyway. I think on a couple of those there were miscommunications. We let him get loose.
Yes.
A couple of those he made good shots. He made tough shots. So I'll give him that. But yeah, if he doesn't go 4 from 4 from 3, if he hits his average, goes 1 of 4 from 3, it's obviously a much different ball game. But that wasn't the case.
It just seems like you mentioned the communication, and it just seems like there are more people pointing.
Yes.
I know pointing on my teams.
Yep. And even if they're not pointing, Zach, it's like that, like after the whistle, you see like kind of the guy turn to the other guy. And like, even if they're not pointing, you could see the body language going like, okay, yes. which one of us was that? And a lot of times it's both, unfortunately, lately. And the same thing happened in the second half. SLU was up 17 and it was like, okay, they made it a lot more interesting than they needed to in the first half, but here we go. Over the early course of the second half, we get up 17 from 8 at halftime, right? +9. And it's looking like it was pretty much over. And then Loyola got hot again. And it was Amos again, along with Cade Dotson, who is actually a much better shooter. He's more like a 36.5% three-point shooter, a guy who is more likely to get hot from 3. They got it to within single digits and lingered there for a while before SLU got the lead back up to 17, eventually won by 14, but I think, Zach, Loyola did a really good job of slowing the game down, which helped keep it closer, right? Like, I feel like I never really thought that SLU was going to let the lead get away.
No.
But Loyola dictated tempo here completely.
Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious because I think with like 10 minutes to go in that second half, I looked around and I said, they're not trying to win this game. Right. They have no intent. They're not like there is zero urgency here. There is zero intention of winning this game. It was at that point, it was just like, let's slow this thing down. Like they would have taken as many shot clock violations as they needed to. If they would have started just not even shooting the ball, I would have been like, okay, that makes sense. Because you're not even trying to win. You're literally just trying to limit the deficit and keep us from getting our goddamn shack burgers.
Oh man, I know it was painfully close in this game, but that's right. You're right. Like if SLU is more assertive, if SLU's not letting them dictate tempo, and I guess you can only have so much control over how the other team's gonna, run their offense. But I still think we could have been more assertive offensively, right? I think it was. The whole game got slowed down in a weird way. And that's what kind of lets me to kind of think like neither half would I say was necessarily a good half. Like we did enough But I don't think I would give SLU credit for like a good half in either one here because they never really just put it away. Dotson and Amos shot a combined 11 of 13. I'm sorry, 11 of 15 from three, which is great. Even if they shoot a really good 7 of 15, almost 50%, this is a 26-point game, right? Loyola was 12 of 25 from three overall, which crazy aberration from what they've done all season. They've been a really
but here's the thing. We're sitting here and we're saying this, right? And oh my God, shot variance. This has happened like so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. Shot variance to us so many times. So my question is, and it didn't happen to us early in the season. This wasn't an issue. Like you and I were sitting here like this team's 3-point defense is really good.
It was among the best in the country.
Right. So, like, in my mind, it feels like, and this is a macro level point I'm getting in on, but it feels to me like something changed defensively. Like, all of a sudden, teams figured something out about us, and Shirts made a change. And those changes aren't working. Like it has completely thrown off I would almost just say, hey, let's go back at whatever we were doing before we started this downward slide because something changed. And I think it's how we play defense because I'm seeing a lot more miscommunication. I thought I saw a lot more, that kind of tagging. Now we're not switching anymore. It was almost more zone principles of like, okay, this guy's over. I don't know. Something has changed defensively. And I feel like we are like in a lost area of this. Dude, I don't get it.
One of the factors is we're playing tougher teams now than we did for most of the non-conference, but Loyola is not one of those, right? No. Loyola's bad this year, and our 3-point defense, there's no reason why they should ever go 12 of 25, almost 50% for the game, why two guys should go 11 of 15 inside of a game. I think you're right. There's something that has changed defensively. I think there's something mental going on. You mentioned miscues, miscommunication. It's happening constantly now. There is something that has this team out of sorts mentally, and I can't figure out what it is.
And to get in again to other Robbie's plantar fasciitis that we learned about today. You look at the defense from early in the season. The interior defense was great. Robbie was great, like legitimately good. After last year, hurt his ankle earlier in the season. That entire season, we looked at Robbie like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, are you like, so now again, it's like, Robbie, what are you doing? So I don't know.
Yeah, and we'll get to it, but those 3 quick whistles at Mason, it's just, a lot of them were kind of footwork related, right? Especially that third one, his feet kind of got tangled up. That was the one I thought was honestly the closest to a foul. I have no idea what that first one was or the second. I think the first one, yeah. So it would, once you hear that he has a foot injury after the game, it's like, okay, that makes sense because the footwork is what appeared to be off. And it shows you for a guy like him, who, as Shirts will remind us, doesn't have a whole lot of verticality. The positioning of his feet is crucial.
Yeah.
And so that's we'll get to it, but it's a major area of concern. But another area of concern I have here, Zach, the fact that SLU only got 17 attempts from three. They made 9, so 53%. You want to see that every game, but you want to see more attempts than that, right? Like 27 attempts. Great, not 17. It's a figure that's been trending down lately. And I know a lot of this is what Loyola was doing defensively, and I give him credit for that. And I know SLU was efficient at the rim, so why not go ahead and eat your lunch there. But at the same time, it's just something that's happened more often than not lately, as we're seeing fewer attempts than what we're used to.
But I think also you want this team to be flexible in the way it attacks the game, and I think it shows a really good. I think that it's a good thing that this team was able to play in a slobber knocker, slow down, game where they don't get off that many threes and they get the ball inside. Because I mean, we've watched games where, again, we're going to talk about it against George Mason, where we're kind of shot ourselves out of games. So I liked that, especially early, they were getting the ball inside, trying to just, manufacture buckets. I would love to see, again, we talked about it last year and we haven't talked about it much this because haven't needed any alternative routes, but those low post 2-man games, give me some of those. Let's mix shit up, offensively, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been a bit negative on this game so far, Zach, so I do want to hit on some positives, right? This win sealed a perfect home season in Chaifetz Arena for the first time ever, 19-0. That's, I mean, what's a better way to deliver future season ticket holders than going undefeated at home?
This is the opposite of the Rebecca Tillett strategy. No, it's great. That it is great. I can't. I had positive fun in every game this season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And everybody who came through the turnstiles had a positive experience, I hope. Yeah. Save for maybe somebody, slipping and falling or something. I don't know. I would, but again, they did also clinch the number 1 seed in the A-10 tournament and at least a share of the regular season title. And they did cut down the nets. And there was discussions.
Yeah, apparently the net cutting may have been a motivating factor for George Mason playing against us the next game. And I will say,
does Tony Skinn think he coaches VCU?
I know it's like, what's going on here? Are you guys in some weird partnership that we're some Virginia public school partnership that we're not aware of here?
It's the Ohio State Bowling Green Connect or whatever they tried to do. I don't remember. But yeah, and then there was who's Ellington? He's like, yeah, Ellington, a guy that SLU never recruited. First of all, Tony, different regime.
Sure.
Okay. And then, the transfer portal's wacky. At that point, are you really talking about local recruit? Are you a local recruit anymore? That's my question.
That's a good point.
Are you really a local guy anymore? I certainly would welcome back all guys that, went away that grew up in St. Louis, but I lost track of you, man. You're gone.
But also, let's be honest here. He went to Eastern Illinois out of high school. Okay. No, I'm not going to dog Eastern Illinois, but I don't want to be competing with Eastern Illinois.
Also a fair point, but let's digress here.
He transferred to Murray State, so he transferred up a level, and then he transferred up a level again to George Mason, where he averages under 5 points a game. So now that he's at our level, he's a 4.7 point a game scorer, 12 and a half minutes a game. He's not the kind of guy who you're like, oh, he got away, right? He had a perfectly respectable collegiate career at 3 other schools. I'm fine with it. So if he had his moment,
I wish him well.
I wish him well. Yeah, I've got nothing negative to say about Nick Adlington. I don't care. I just don't care.
That's your motivation, right? God,
it worked. He had the second best game of the season.
At the risk of alienating every athlete that I'm friends with, athletes are the weirdest people as it pertains to motivation and hyping things up to make themselves perform.
Yeah.
You were
Nobody believed in us as
yes. Oh God. Oh, it's the best.
when you hear like Kentucky say that when they win a national championship. Like,
Oh.
we were the preseason number 2. We were so disrespected. I mean, it cracks me up. It's best in college football where like one of the top few teams normally wins.
Yes.
Nobody
We need to digress.
we do. Okay, let's go. Yeah.
Another sold out crowd. Look, you know, they're not jam packed yet. They're not jam packed, but hopefully we can get there. Yep. This extends the Chaffetz winning streak to 22, dating back to last season. And they will that streak will go over 3 seasons at least. Yep. I hope. I mean, maybe
we gotta win as long as we win the opener.
Yes. And then outside of Dotson and Amos, nobody else really did anything. It was kind of the Dotson Amos show.
It was. Yeah, it was pretty much just them. The other good thing here, Zach, Amari McCautry had a huge bounce back game, leading SLU with 18 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, which is great. 4 of 6 from the free throw line, 67%. I will take for him any game. Schertz came up to him after the game and was clearly telling him what a great game he had. McCautry's body language was really good. Anya, too, grabbed him by the shoulders, gave him a big hug. Really encouraging, and the message was well received there for sure.
We're talking about this knowing what has transpired in the last.
We
30
know it.
seconds.
Yeah, I know. We unfortunately know the.
Oh God, the Billikens they shot the ball well in this game. 60% from the field, 53% from 3. PPP, whatever the hell that means, was 1.362. Pete knows it. Apparently, everybody else does.
It's good number.
Okay. We'll take it. They did keep Loyola off the offensive glass. Again, we're trying to stay positive with what's coming up.
Yeah. It was a positive within the context of this game. SLU only had 5. It wasn't much of a factor, which is fine. They had just 7 turnovers, 1 turnover margin by 5. Points off turnovers were 13-5, turnover rate 12.1%. All good figures there. SLU had 11 fouls. I think that might be the lowest this season. I'm not sure. Maybe lower against like a Principia or something like that. But the refs actually did a fine job here, Zach. No complaints. Not exactly like full-on home cooking. They just weren't a factor, which I think is pretty refreshing after some of our recent experience with the Stripes, right?
I wonder if I want to go back and see if there's like if there's a difference in our opinions or fans' opinions. Look on the board for games where we're on national TV versus not.
Oh,
I'm wondering if they're just really bad when it's national TV. I wonder if that's when it's really the most angsty from the fans.
Interesting. Okay. I do not have time.
Because I thought they were fine. I think both of us
they were.
I had nothing to talk about. I didn't have to, embarrass the people sitting around me at all.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yeah, that's always a positive. Deion Brown had a really good senior night. 15 points, perfect 6 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds.
I did have to go up to. I went down in the tunnel after the game to go to the bathroom before the senior night. Came back and stopped by Deion Brown and told him that I really enjoyed watching him play this season.
Me too.
Really just the most fun to watch.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. He's one of those guys that makes you. It's painful that we don't have him for longer because I like so much of what he does. Paul Otieno led SLU in plus minus in his last home game, plus 22 in 22 minutes. 1 point away from a triple nickel, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Another guy who was 1 stat away from a triple nickel was another senior, Avila, finished with 12, 6, and 4. Miles Rubin, Zach, is just a tough matchup for him. He had 5 blocks overall, but I think Avila still managed to be pretty productive in this game overall.
Yeah, I liked what he brought. It was that, didn't he do the 15 points? Wasn't this his 15-point stretch game?
15-point stretch game. Who? Avila or?
Yeah, no, that was the game before. I think that was Duquesne. I'm all turned around. This
Okay,
season's got me. There's this week has been rough on the psyche.
gotcha.
Yeah,
No, I mean
I like what Avila did
Ruben
in this
only
one.
had 8 points, 8 and 4, 4 fouls, 5 turnovers, but the 5 blocks were where he made
Yeah,
his
I mean
presence felt.
he wasn't great. Thames was I thought he was Thames again in this one.
9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Oddly, he finished -13 in his 19 minutes, which is by far the worst on the team. He just
Hmm.
seemed to be on the floor every time Amos or Dotson hit a three. Not always his assignment, so just unlucky timing for him. Just stats can be misleading sometimes. Quentin Jones only had 3 points, but he was second on the team at +20, had his usual 2 blocks. Quiet game for him, not a bad game though, right?
No, I think Quentin Jones is kind of the background character that kind of pops in for an episode every now and then.
Yeah, you need him to be good. You can't have him be bad as he was at Dayton and George Mason, because that seems to be a pretty big factor for us when he's not good. And I think those were both examples of that.
Yeah.
But when he's on, it's just like we can seem unstoppable.
Brady Ish and Trey. They were guys. They were respectable.
Yeah, 5, 6, and 7 points. Fine, right? They were all fine, just not box score guys in this game. Final thoughts, Zach, on this game. I like this quote from Slim Chuck
Yeah.
on Discord. A quote, "This might be an unpopular opinion given the spread, but I actually thought we played pretty well tonight. Loyola slowed the game to a crawl with junk defenses and bleeding the shot clock. They came into the game shooting 31% from three and made 12 of 25, including some really good contests. This was the equivalent of a soccer team parking the bus and also scoring on 2 set pieces. Yet the game was never really in doubt." I like that analogy quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really good. And again, it almost felt like a team that was playing for a draw.
Yeah,
Like Loyola was legit.
that's
Like
right.
it was a team who's come in, parked the bus, scored twice on set pieces. The game is now 2-2, and they're playing for a point.
Completely agree. I completely. That's exactly what they were doing. We've seen the bottom half A-10 teams do it against our both men's and women's soccer teams a ton. But overall, Zach, I'd say this game was fine, right? Not great, not bad, just fine. They got it done against the worst team in the league. Nothing more, nothing less. I think the thing that stops me from giving them a little more praise is I think we just kind of played into what they were doing too often.
Yeah.
We did have some chances to kind of assert ourselves more and just didn't quite take advantage of those opportunities and then kind of let them, you know, make their own luck in certain stretches. So I think that's what bothered me about the game is it probably could have been even with their strategy, closer to 20 points earlier in the game and for longer. So letting it get to single digits in the second half bothered me, but I do think he's right. It was, they threw junk at us and it worked to their credit.
It was interesting seeing the plantar fasciitis stuff because Robbie was sitting in a chair after the game,
Mm.
waiting for senior night ceremony. So that's interesting in retrospect. But
It's a sore foot. Yeah.
uh, are, yeah, do we have to talk about George Mason?
I think we do, Zach. If I had to sit through this game, taking notes and trying not to look at my TV screen, I think we got to talk about it.
All right. 86-57 loss at George Mason on Saturday the 7th. Um, the last this felt a lot like, and I said it on Twitter, this felt a lot like the Arkansas State game. Really just, I don't know, heads in the clouds. It didn't even feel like we missed shots or like had a bad game. We just, it was not, it was effort. It wasn't skill or talent or, like being in the game. It was just, it was weird. because oddly I thought like the Billikens were playing okay. Like it wasn't some aberration of offensive ineptitude.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, Zach, because you compared it to the Arkansas State game, which was the first round of the NIT last season, and obviously did not go our way. 103-78 at their place down in Jonesboro. It was not a fun experience. But the game Shirts compared it to was Wichita State, which we played out at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City on November 22nd of 2024 and lost by 25, right? 88-63. And it's crazy how my mind works because I had to go look up both of those games. Like
You forgot them.
these are the kind of games that my brain just goes, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with these. Like
That's really what this game was for me. This one right here,
yeah.
zoop, out of my mind after Friday, whatever we played.
And I think that the kind of thing that can make it stick in your mind is if it signals the beginning of something else, right? But in both cases last season, it really didn't. Number one, because that Arkansas State game was the last game, and this season mostly went so well. And that Wichita State game, we came back and won a few games at home. It wasn't the best non-conference season last year, but you didn't feel like that Wichita State game was like, okay, it's all going to be gloom and doom this season. It was just a really bad game. So I think that's another reason why those I've been able to kind of just pop those out. I couldn't have told you the score or anything really about them. Just I knew we played them, and that was about
I have
it.
pictures from that game, like of me at the game, and I don't care. Like I forget. I forgot about the Wichita State game. I remember the Kansas City trip. Forgot about the game.
Yeah, and we'll get later into why Shirts compared it to those games, but yeah, Zach. So this takes the cake as the worst game of the regular season, right? And I kind of I think about how I felt after that Dayton win at home and how high I was flying and just like really felt like this team is different. This team is special. And then since then, I think we've really only played 4 truly good halves of basketball. I looked it up because in my head, I thought it was like 2 or 3, but it was 4, right? It was the second half against LaSalle at home, second half at Loyola, second half against VCU at home, and then the second half against Duquesne at home. There have been some halves that I think, we did enough to win, right? Like I think both of them against Loyola earlier in the week, but that I wouldn't necessarily would say are good in the context of what this program is this season. And that's what kind of has me bothered is this game. I talked about how I'm able to kind of scrub these from my memory if they don't signal that something else larger is happening. And then my mind wants to go back and find the point that something went wrong. What it is kind of the culmination of a few weeks in a row of just not playing very good basketball.
Yeah.
And I hope this is the reset, right? I really hope this is the reset and that they go to Pittsburgh and make a statement, Zach. I don't know. I think we kind of scrap our normal recap structure for this game and just sort of like go back and forth with thoughts here, right?
I want this the eternal as pessimistic as I've been. As much as I say like generally point out negatives, my mind wants to sit here and be like, yeah, they were, it's they'll turn this around. Like this can't be the end for this. This can't be how things go.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can't go south here. Like this team is too good. We've seen too good from this team.
Yep.
For it to go out like this without any sort of debilitating injury.
That's right. And now
or gigantic loss of personnel.
You keep seeing our seed in all of the like bracketology sort of stuff. Our seed keeps getting downgraded, and
dude, it's awful.
It's a soft bubble this year. It's a soft bubble this year. But we went from at a time looking like kind of a 5 seed to now, people are talking about us more like a 9, inching toward a 10, and it sucks. It sucks because those are not.
We're heading towards the first 4.
My hope this season, and we still had hope of it going into this week, I think, was my hope was a 6 seed, right? And I thought if we won our last few games, and I thought if we won the A-10 tournament, we could play our way back to the 6 line. But I think that is out of the question now. I think we've probably lost that even if we win 3 in Pittsburgh, which again, I hope is possible. I hope this is the reset button. It's crazy in this game because we also had hope in the course of this game, right? Like the first half, it was like, here we go again, 9th bad first half in a row since the Dayton game, all 9 games, bad first half. It's just what we do now. But it was like, all right, we're only down 9, right? And it felt like we played worse. So even then, I imagined there would be a response. And Zach, instead, SLU got down to 34 points down in this game at the final media timeout. Luckily it didn't get worse than that. We closed the gap a little bit in the last few minutes, but down
Thank God for Cam
34. Yeah, he did have 7? Down 34 at the final media timeout. I was shocked. I mean, I was truly shocked, rattled by this game.
I was on it. So I have had kind of a brutal cough and cold for the last week, and I see
you using that mute button.
I know. I rarely do it. Usually I'll raw dog the coughs on the show. But no, I was kind of trying to medicate the entire week, weekend, just try to sleep it all off. And so I was kind of not all there and just kind of oh, shit, this isn't good. But even down 9, I thought we'd, like you said, I thought we'd make a run, and it just kept getting worse, and we kept not stopping them, and people kept texting me how awful this was going. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I'm not going to text you back because I don't want to keep talking about it. As much as I love being the Billiken guy to people, when we lose, it is the worst.
Yes.
It's the worst.
You and I both do not take it well.
No.
My parents have been the best this season because they've been watching all the games. And after every win, they text me and they're all excited. And after every loss, I hear nothing. And I'm like, they know me better than
I don't. I full on ignored 5 different people during the game.
Even if they have business with me, it's like, we'll give it a day. We'll give it a day. And then it's like, call your sister,
Yeah.
So it's great. But you're right. Don't text me right now. This is not going well. I know it's not going well. I don't want to talk about it. It's troubling. SLU has trailed at halftime in 5 of the last 6 games. All 5 of those, the opponent has scored over 40. It's just not something that happened against SLU until this sort of recent stretch. And look, Mason is a good defensive team. They're an okay offensive team. There's absolutely no reason that they should dominate both directions the way that they did, right? Because it wasn't just their defense, which I thought would kind of be the issue here. They were getting what they wanted on the offense.
Yes. Yeah, I thought we sucked. I thought our offense sucked. Well, our offense was fine. I thought the actual game plan was fine. But it's we're just not making shots. And I think, I think the Billikens are working harder on the defensive end. It leads to, you're not getting out and running. You have to work on every possession. Whether or not we're getting what we're wanted, we're not able to run and gun and get quick baskets because we're not getting stops. And then our guys are working too hard on the offensive end to get shots. So they're rushing shots or they're taking bad shots. And it all just kind of bunched up into one big knot.
Yeah.
And it really just killed the game.
Schurz has been really good at articulating what the point you're making there, Zach, is the way offense and defense feed each other. You need to score to set up the defense the way that you want. You need to get stops in order to do what you want in transition. It's a symbiotic relationship. They're not two separate things. And it's
They can be.
Oh, I mean, trust me, I was a manager under Brad Soderberg. They were different things. They had nothing to do with one another. So it wasn't really until Majerus that I started to understand that, and certainly now have a better understanding, even now under Shirts. So you see in this game more than any other this season, right? We scored 57 the first time. We've scored below 60. Only the second time we scored below 70. So it's the fewest points this season easily. But Zach, so you've got terrible 3-point shooting, right? 4 of 24 from three, fewest makes, worst percentage of the season, and pretty poor in layup attempts. I don't know what the final number was on layups, but it was 11 of 21 with like 5 minutes left to go, which is you want to be above 60%, not right at the 50%.
This team is at its best, and I think this may be a John Maddenism when it's finishing at the rim, right?
Yeah.
Like when it's making its easy baskets.
Yeah.
When it's even like, it's interesting because there are moments where this team really has some of the most impressive body control going
Yes.
to the basket. And then there are moments where I don't know what they're doing. Like they're just kind of winging it. Like
There was an attempt that McCautry threw off the bottom of the rim in the first half, and I just thought, oh God, because again, when he is in command, no one can stop him going to the rim. But when he's hitting the bottom of the rim, it's just like, okay, something's not right here. So you miss those layups, you miss 23-point attempts, and it's just feeding their offense, feeding it again and again. Especially, we're not getting offensive rebounds, right? I mean,
no.
Mason won the rebounding battle by 15. They had 13 offensive rebounds. One player, Emmanuel Conga, had 8. I mean, so they're making us pay on the defensive glass. We're not making them pay on the offensive glass. We're just giving them long rebounds that feed their offense.
It was an unbelievable cascade of everything that could go wrong in one game happening at once. And I'm not talking about luck here. I'm talking about, things are not good. There's miscommunications, there's unforced errors, there's a lack of fight. I think there's a lack of trust here.
Yeah.
I think that I kind of talked about it earlier, in that something happened where the Billikens started getting figured out on defense. My theory is that there was something done on the defensive end to adjust for this. Either it's not working, or Shirts isn't installing it well enough, or and there's just a lack of trust there within the game plan, especially defensively. That's my opinion, or my kind of just really throwing it out there theory.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly would make sense, right? If they've kind of lost faith in each other or what they're doing or something like that, because that would explain a lot of those miscommunications. And I mean, how many times did you see bad passes in this game, or guys not ready? I'm thinking of
the
off the top of my head,
throwing
to Otieno's feet, or throwing it behind his back when he's running the other way. There were so many balls thrown into the bench. I didn't. It was crazy, the miscommunication there. So those unforced errors.
What kind of hazing do we have to do to like bring this team back together? Can we lock them in a basement with like their hands taped together?
We just what was that, like some frat house in Iowa?
This is what
Okay.
They all in their boxers, of course, because if you're gonna haze, it's got to be in boxer shorts.
Yeah, it reminded me of the movie Weapons. Go see that if you haven't yet. Pretty interesting. But anyway, yeah.
I just think, what do we have to do to get this team together? Do we have to go on some sort of vision quest?
Yeah.
Can we get them all like super high on peyote or marijuana, or like what kind of do we need to go on a canoe trip?
I want the record to show I'm not endorsing any
track and field teams go on rafting trips. Like, can we Can we get the fellas together?
You know what
And the fall thing where they fall trust
yeah.
fall. Can we got to get this? We got to get the vibes and the togetherness back.
My senior year, we did a like a little, I guess you'd call it retreat before the season, and we went out to this lodge. I don't remember where it was, but there was like a ropes course, and like we did all these like
Did you go to
team
Camp
building activities.
Lakewood?
It was something like that. It was something like that. It was not a 5-star resort by any means. Our assistant Lance Randall had set it up, and then this was right before the season, like a week before it happened. His dad died suddenly, unexpectedly, so he left SLU, was not with us anymore, went back home to Wisconsin. And so he had everything organized, and so we kind of had to go ourselves without his leadership there. But we did all that kind of like the team bonding, building kind of stuff. No hazing. I will say, in my 4 years there, I did not see anything resembling hazing. I'm happy to say.
I'm shocked that no hazing happened under Brad Milk Toast Soderberg
or Lorenzo Romar.
I don't know Lowro that much, but
both very, very honorable guys. They're very straight up dudes. But anyway, I it might be a little late in the season, but I think this is the point, Zach, where I think there's got to be, maybe when we win the conference tournament in Pittsburgh or win an NCAA tournament game or something like that. This is the story that Stu and Tom Timmerman or whoever in the national press.
That is the goal.
On Saturday, March 7th, after George Mason, before they got on the plane, Robbie Avila locked everyone in a room and
beat the shit out of them.
He and the seniors made everybody kind of hash it out, and then they went back home and had the best practice of their lives. And that led to the best week of their lives, or something.
Yes.
This is
do you
where
remember? You didn't watch Blue Mountain State. You didn't watch Blue Mountain State, did you?
No.
Okay, those who watched it, if you know the Oksana episode. Look it up. If you don't ask your parents to go online, you shouldn't be listening to this. If you have to ask your parents permission to go online. No, I just there's something needs to happen here. I don't know. Like, you look back at how this has all come about. We have, and I don't know if we should wait to get into with Rocchio, but you've got the belt to ass, you've got the Humphrey stuff right after the Dayton game. Everything since then has been a clusterfuck. You look at, the Rhode Island game being the first loss. You've got the Providence stuff ramping up after the the bar and the belt ass. So that stuff. And then the Providence fans show up behind the bench at Rhode Island. You've got all these articles coming out about teams that are interested in shirts because, of course. And I just don't know how much that feeds into it as well. That uncertainty and trust, because you have to trust that if Shirts leaves, it's not every one of these players is going to be affected the same way. Somebody's going to be left out. So there's trust in that coach is going to be here next year. Yes, players can transfer. Yes, freedom of movement, NIL. But it still changes your life.
Yeah.
So there is a lot that goes into, players' emotions. What does my next year look like? I hope Shirts is telling me the truth, but he's out there saying, I don't talk about other jobs. That's fine. I appreciate that. But also you've got Frank Cusimano tweeting out that, there was super secret meetings during the NIT run because that doesn't say why? You don't have to say it's super secret meetings. You don't have to say when they were. Just say he met with Bay in the arena. Right. Now we know that Shirts is spends time negotiating future moves during important games.
Right.
Then that, you know what? I'm not even mad at Shirts about that, but I don't want that in my head right now. You know who's thinking about that now?
Who?
The guys on the fucking court.
Yeah, so
That doesn't help.
that would be an explanation, right? Is if that's in their heads and they're all thinking about their next move, and that's why all of this is falling apart. You've seen that happen before at other places, but the you know, I whether or not that's true, I don't even want. I don't even want to
look. I don't want to get into it. Look, I think Shirts is going to stay here next year. That's my official opinion. That's both of our official opinions. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm leaning
I'm not.
Yes.
But I don't need like you don't. There is social media is social media, and it affect we're like these guys are all human. They're gonna read this shit. Like it's impactful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Talk about what Shirt said as far as the actual on-court performance.
Yeah, so we heard that Avila has increasing issues with plantar fasciitis, according to Stu Durando, right? We already hinted at that. And if anybody thinks we're being kind of like too hard on Slu or anything we say is going to be too hard on them the rest of this episode, I want you to know that it's not coming from nowhere because Shirts himself said, quote, "We were pathetic on both ends of the floor. There's nothing you walk out of here and think was a silver lining and hang your hat on. We got physically manhandled. We were pretty selfish offensively. Didn't run any kind of coherent offense. We got sped up. We missed some layups, and that affected our defensive effort and intensity. We couldn't guard the ball, couldn't keep the ball in front, didn't do a good job helping when the ball got downhill. And when they did miss, which was rare, we couldn't secure the rebound. Pretty pathetic effort across the board in every area. I didn't have them ready at all to play. I've coached almost 600 games going back to my time in Division II. That's the most I've ever lost by. That was as comprehensive a beatdown as I've ever been a part of." He went on to say, Zach, "If the scale is 10, 10 is my concern level. Anytime you get beat like that, the way we got beat, and you watch guys, I thought that was the first time all year we let go of the rope. It probably hasn't happened since last year against Wichita State, where we got frustrated, got sad, and stopped competing inside the game. That's jarring to see this late in the season because that hasn't been us all year," end quote. He added, and I'll stop after this, but he added that when a team is in a slump, it's a sign of being in a tough mental space. And he said the way you work out of it is to play your tail off, and they just didn't do that in this game. Is that the response now, Zach? They just have to play their tails off to get out of this slump, to get out of this mental space?
It reminds me. I tweeted out the line from the greatest game ever played, where he says, "We're just gonna have to focus now, Francis." And he says, how do you do that? He goes, "You're just gonna have to play better."
Yeah,
Like
I
I kind
that
of
simple.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of said it. I think it's on Shirts to get them out of that headspace and somehow ease whatever mental headspace they're in. Because I mean, you've got to think that there's like that's got to be. I think you've got to get the team together, figure out why this team is having issues. People need to be able to speak honestly as to what they're feeling, and from there understand how to right the ship and reassure them of whatever they're unsure about, I guess.
Yeah, and one of the things I will two points is one, it's interesting to hear Shirts acknowledge that they kind of quit, right? Like this is because this is the first time where as we hinted at before, this is the first time we haven't seen that bounce back, right? Like you and I both thought when they were down 9 at halftime and looking pretty bad, okay, maybe it's not a run, maybe it's not 2 kill shots or something like that, but they're going to respond in the second half. They're going to play harder. Like we're going to see something that indicates that that this team is here to play. Even at Dayton, as bad as that one got, down 25 late in the first half, we got it to within 11. You know, as the course of the second half went on, there was actually some kind of response. And bad game, I'm not happy with that game. It's not maybe the best example, but this was the first time this season we just didn't see anything. The other thing I'll say is, if there is a mental thing and guys are quitting, not just in the context of the game, but more in the context of the season, and I don't want to accuse anyone of that, The point I will make is the NCAA tournament in college basketball, painful to say for guys like you and me who really love the sport and watch all season, this is all that matters to most people. And this is where you make your money. And now that you actually make money above the table as a collegiate player, this is where you really make your money. And if you don't care about this team anymore, or you don't care about SLU anymore or whatever, I still got to think guys want to go out there and score and get stops and show their value to their next potential suitor,
Right.
right? I've never known, even in professional sports, I don't think there are a whole lot of examples of guys who raised their free agency price tag by really falling off at the end of the year and missing the playoffs or playing terribly during the playoffs. I mean, come on, like you got to. Now is when you show that you're a winner. So I think it's important to play for, as cheesy as it is to say, not just the name on the front of the jersey, but play for the name on the back of the jersey as well. Like, have some pride. That's something that I was thinking after this game, and that others have said to me too. It's like, where's the pride? I didn't see that at all in this game.
Yeah, I think it's like you said. If players are thinking past the season and their next move, it's like the best way to show your worth is to stick to the game plan and win basketball games. Like that is 5,000% going to show better than the guy who played on a shit team, like a team that fell from grace, from elite to shit, and you scored 28 points. Congratulations. So what? So what? Like, it's going to look good if that team goes to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. It's going to look the same, if not better.
Yes.
And would you rather win? I don't know.
SLU was able
and
to.
I don't even know if that's the case. I just it's weird that a team that was so cohesive and so on, like, just on top of shit and felt just so together, has fallen so far apart. I don't understand it.
Yeah, agree completely. We were able to land a lot of these guys because they came from places that were not winning. Even if they were coming from ACC schools like Sharma and Brown, their schools were not winning, and these guys weren't getting big opportunities there. Or there are guys like Quentin Jones who were producing, but for some of the worst teams in the country. Quentin Jones puts out those numbers at a program like this that's possibly a 30-win team and an NCAA tournament team. He's a big commodity now. You know what I mean? Like, there's. I guess you're right. I don't understand why this is happening. Why is this team playing their worst basketball at the worst time? Why now? Every time lately that I've thought this is it, this is the big bounce back, the big statement win, it hasn't happened. So we've talked about what maybe some of what's going on here, but is there anything else to explain this, Zach? Like why is this happening right now?
No idea. We're missing it because Dylan Warlick is no longer on this team.
Yeah,
it needs a werewolf.
Kalu Anya shouldn't have redshirted, maybe.
I'm not above that take. Honestly, look, I think with Warlick, I think there was a place for him here. I think there was a role to be played on a winning team, and what are you doing now? Is my question. I guess with Anya, again, I think there's a role to be played on this team. It's just not an everyday role. And it's just, again, I guess the red shirt, right? You get to keep that red shirt, but you had a red shirt anyway. I don't know. It's just, I think we could have used those two. This was the largest margin of defeat of Josh Schertz's career. He lost a game by 28 to Queens at Lincoln Memorial. According to Joel Hall, it is the worst regular season-ending loss since 2000, when the Billikens lost to the Cincinnati Bearcats 84-41, and less than a week later, they would go on to upset the number one seed Bearcats after a Kenyon Martin leg injury at the leg of Justin Love, rest in peace, in the Conference USA tournament in Memphis. It was the largest, so foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
It was the largest loss in A-10 play since 2019 against St. Joe's, which was a 30-point blowout. It was February 8th. VCU and SLU will share the regular season title. SLU is the number 1 seed because of head-to-head tiebreaker, but both teams can claim it. I don't think SLU necessarily, like, SLU's the champion here. They are, in my mind, I'm not here to celebrate that because it is one on a tiebreaker, but I think SLU is the lone champion. I think there's only one champion. I think co-champions is dumb, especially if it's decided by, a sweep, right? Yeah. Like if you said like away points or whatever, I'd be like, shut up. Like right. It's shared. This is a clear situation of a sole championship, in my opinion, but whatever.
You're fine cutting down the nets.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean, look, is there a way to look at this that's kind of like the baseball mentality versus the hockey mentality, right? They don't baseball will do champagne in the locker room after every series win, versus I think basketball might too, but like hockey won't celebrate.
Yeah.
They won't celebrate until the Stanley Cup. So is it something worth celebrating? Yeah. Did I care if they cut down the nets? Not really. Would I have? I think I said yes, I would have.
The thing that makes it painful is that, that we have to share it at all, right? Like this is one where we could have won this game and there's no conversation.
We should have won this game.
We lose this game and everybody in the league starts dunking on us. Mm-hmm. Like a former VCU player was in our Twitter message.
Yeah.
Marcus Santos Silva was
sit down.
On us. Like not just Mason fans, not just VCU fans all over the conference were just like, hey, maybe don't cut the nets down, guys. And yes, we are the 1 seed and we have the tiebreaker, and it's a real shame that we just don't have that clean conference regular season championship.
And I think there's something to be said about the kind of character on this. And I'm not saying these are not character guys. Look, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is, a type of person that takes winning the A-10 championship regular season and says, I want more. I want the soul. I want more. And that's kind of the spirit of Kaizen, in my opinion. Continuous improvement, also continuous also improving the achievement, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking shit.
Zach, but I want to make one more point, and where I kind of forgive SLU a little bit. This is only I went to the Wikipedia page and counted them up. This is only the 8th time SLU has ever won or tied the regular season title in the conference, right? So it's only the 8th time, either outright or shared, that we've had a claim to first place. And some of those were ties, but it's not something that this program has done very often.
Which is sad.
It is sad. It is sad. We never won Conference USA.
Conference USA was you won Conference USA. I know. You were top 10.
Jim Cruz, Majerus didn't do it. He finished second, even though I think that was probably the best of those 3 teams in the end. Those Cruz teams, they won first both seasons, those first 2 seasons before he came in last, which I will never understand or forgive. But those were the first conference titles that this team had, going all the way back to Robert Polk in 1971.
Good old Bobby P.
And that was
Coach P. Coach P. You remember Coach P?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. 12 years before I was born.
Who can forget Coach P?
So that was a tie for first place with a record of 9-5, to give you an idea of what that was like. I mean, it makes no sense at all. Eddie Hickey obviously won first or second almost every season,
Coach
but it was
Ed.
he normally won second place. He won first outright twice, and he tied for first once. His predecessor John Flanagan came in first once in the Missouri Valley in 1947. But so that gives you an idea. Half of our conference titles are from before 1960. It just is not something that this program does. So I do want to give them like some, some a little bit of understanding for doing that. But I do understand why VCU, a team that has won the conference a lot more than we have, is ready to go ahead and claim a share of it.
Yeah. Fuck those guys. Pete, let's kick it around the A-10, presented by Two Men in a Garden.
Yeah, Zach, 2 Men in a Garden. Obviously, we love their pickles. We love their salsas. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of other stuff on their website. If you're ever like, not sure what you want to fill out an order with, you're like, hey, shipping is cheap or shipping's free with our code MMP. I don't quite know what else to do here. Go to their Kitchen Hub products, all of their other stuff where, they have the kitchen, the factory, whatever you want to call it, for other brands to come in, make their products there in a good environment. And it's all local stuff. It's really good stuff. One that I want to bring your attention to, there's a product called the Fallout. It's a green chili spice blend, sugar-free, really good, a green sriracha. It goes on everything: eggs, chicken, rice, any salads, anything you want to put it on. It's really good. It's heat, it's tanginess. It's a good, a perfect order to throw in your box if you're ordering from these guys. And again, use our code MMP at checkout to save on shipping. If not, shipping's only $9.99 nationwide. So get on that now, twomeninagarden.com. You're on mute, Zach. So I'm going to kick it around the A-10 on Tuesday the 3rd. VCU 70, George Mason 65. This clinched the 2 seed for VCU. Dayton 65, Richmond 60. Didn't clinch a certain number yet for Dayton, but it did clinch a double bye, a top 4 seed for them. On Wednesday the 4th, LaSalle 87, Fordham 84. Tough one for the Rams there. Rhode Island 64, Duquesne 52. Just could not score. Fordham, Rhode Island, Duquesne, by the way, all in a log jam in the middle of the conference. Really hard teams to predict. St. Joe's 70, Davidson 67. This game had some huge swings and wound up being close at the end, and it also clinched a double bye for the Hawks. George Washington 91, St. Bonaventure 82. It honestly looked like George Washington was trying to throw this game. Seriously, the worst late game team in the league by far. That game was a disaster at the end. Zach, though, what happened this weekend in the A-10, man? Because it was a wild one.
It was the A-10 was drunk this weekend. VCU 68, Dayton 62, locked Dayton into a 4 seed. Big win for VCU on the road. The first of a few steps that need to happen for this league to potentially put themselves in a position to get 3 bids into the NCAA tournament. Saturday the 7th, Davidson 68, St. Bonaventure 63. This one was, we'll talk about it in a minute, plagued by the announcement of the departure of Mark Schmidt. It felt like a morgue inside the Riley Center. St. Joe's 88, LaSalle 76. The outcome did not really matter in this one standing-wise. Loyola 68, George Washington 62. GW, again, just falling off a cliff here. Fordham 61, Rhode Island 49. Winner got the 9, loser got the 10 seed. And then the wildest of games out of Pittsburgh, Duquesne 79, Richmond 77, in a game where Duquesne trailed as much as 30 points in the first half, won on a David Dixon tip-in. This will give them the 7th seed. This was somehow the 4th largest comeback in NCAA D1 history and the largest in A-10 history. Absolutely incredible Saturday action. Unfortunately, the Billikens were not part of the excitement for us.
No, that was a wild day leading up to SLU was the nightcap basically on that day, right, Zach?
Yeah, no,
I think it was.
yeah, 3 p.m. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, the Saturday started out with the announcement of Mark Schmidt being out at St. Bonaventure after 19 years, the winningest coach in program history. This is a complete clusterfuck.
Especially messy, Zach, given the Woj of it all, right?
This
There
is
are
Woj being put in charge of basic. This is like Chris May hiring me to be the head of basketball decision making in the athletic department
yes.
over overseeing Josh
Yeah.
Shirts
Yeah, and being like
because I'm famous and have money.
here are the players
Maybe I should
that you
try
should have.
doing that.
It can't hurt, Zach. Go ahead, give it a shot. But Woj really does have the the shadow over all of this, right? There are arguments over who had final say over roster decisions. It sure seems like Woj did, but dopes like Jeff Goodman say otherwise. There are arguments about the timing as this leaked before Bonaventure's regular season game, their last regular season game on Saturday, as you said. Some have been trying to spin it as a retirement, including the athletic department themselves. And others are reporting that he'd still coach if it's the right situation. And then John Rothstein reported that they're going to spend less on the next head coach to devote more resources to the roster.
This is what an like. I loved what the athletics department was doing up at Bonaventure, updating the facilities and shit. Right?
Mhm.
What is he talking about, bro? You are not St. Louis University. You are not Dayton. You don't already commit. Like Mark Schmidt is not like this insanely well-paid head coach.
Yeah. So they want to pay somebody like he's an NEC coach or a MAC coach or something like that.
What are you talking about? Like they
Yeah.
are trying. Like this is apparently they are trying to make this more like a professional setup, which is not like that's trying to reinvent the wheel because you like I don't know what this is. Woj is torpedoing his alma mater right now.
I will say Bonaventure, they do pay Schmidt reportedly about $1.5 million a year.
Which again
Which
is a
it's good.
bargain.
It's good A-10 money, but for a guy who's been there for 19 years, right? He's your winningest coach. It's not what SLU pays, it's not what Dayton pays, it's not what VCU pays, but it's very I think it's very good money. But now they're saying they expect to pay like half of that, which is
Ooh,
I
in
mean,
this economy?
there are a lot of D1 coaches don't make, millions, right? That like
Right.
most of them are in somewhere in six figures, depending on the league that they're in. And so some of those smaller conferences, yeah, you got guys not really, 750 would be quite a jump for some of these guys. It's just it's just interesting to be walking into a situation where they're like, hey, we're cutting the coach's salary. That's where we're going to save money because we've got to pay players more. It just,
It's crazy because I mean apparently the relationship got worse as the season progressed and
yeah.
obviously I think you look at this roster and it's dog shit. Like Grahovic is horrible, and he was like the big like success story from Woj, and he's the worst player I've ever seen. He's John Manning.
Think about what the story was, though, right? Like he got plucked out of an LA Fitness, and he was homeless a couple years ago, and he was playing in junior college. He's just turned out to be a really limited player, right? Like he's kind of
they made it the
guy,
whole
but he's
story,
6'10". Right?
that's like I'm trying to think of what would be the parallel is like it'd be like if you came in and said Dion Brown was going to be the truth. He's this guy is the biggest story on the whole roster. Like,
yeah.
I just don't get it.
His story kind of reminds me of this guy Marty Gilliard. If you guys remember him, the Rams actually drafted him out of the University of Cincinnati. I don't know, about 15 years ago. He was a guy who they found from a local junior college. He was originally from Florida, and he was living out of his car for a while at one point. But even he had like played football growing up. You know,
Yeah.
Grahovic, like it's like his look and everything is like they found him in the woods,
It looks
and they
like
just
they
decided he
found
was
him
tall.
in NBA Street Volume 2.
He looks kind of, yeah, a little bit like Bill Walton in
He looks like an
1976.
SSX tricky character. God
So,
damn.
yeah, so as you said, their relationship soured over the course of the season. They reportedly disagreed about who should be recruited, with Woj targeting players Schmidt said didn't fit his system, which I think was quite obvious the way the season played out, and then
Oh,
getting upset when his guys didn't play bigger minutes, right? So just a total disaster. But
it's a
candidates
disaster.
being named so far, if you're wondering, Zach, who would take this job, I don't know if they will, but the names being thrown out there are Joey Gallo of Merrimack, Mike McDonald of Damon University, which is a lower division school, David Vanterpool of the Washington Wizards, he's an assistant there, Patrick Sellers, the head coach at Central Connecticut, and then Brian Adams, who's an assistant
Brian
at
Adams? The
Alabama. Yeah,
musician?
that's right. Yeah,
Summer of
Summer of
69?
'69 is really when he peaked, but they think maybe he'll still
Canadian
be pretty
too.
good.
Jack Godar, I love that.
So the big question, Zach, is who actually will want this job if they're just going to play a secondary role to a former
Who
NBA scoops reporter, right?
Whoever competed in the Iditarod.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the kind of
exactly.
person we're looking for.
Must be comfortable with several feet of snow on the ground at any given time. So it's going to
Yep.
be interesting, but you're right. It is kind of like a more pro style, where we've seen some,
The GM
especially,
should not be above the coach.
yeah, but you see it happening in
Not
Major League
here.
Baseball now. Is these big GM names are now trying to like assert themselves over the manager, and it just doesn't seem like a very healthy dynamic.
Nope. Billiken fans, you know him. Matt Rocchio, STL Sports Central. He covers the Bills. He's probably our favorite Mizzou fan. Our only favorite Mizzou fan. It's the only one we'll talk to
There you
anyway.
go.
He's on to talk just on a macro level. What the hell is going on with these Billikens? How did we get here? Where are they going? And what's waiting for them in Brooklyn, or not Brooklyn, sorry, Pittsburgh
There you go.
at the Atlantic 10 champions. Rock, how's the indoor soccer business?
Not great. They've lost 3 in a row, 5-4 all 3 times. Not great. They're still winning though, which is, I mean, they're not winning, but they are a winning team still. So still a little positivity around one St. Louis squad or another.
Good.
What from where you sit, what in God's name happened the other day in Fairfax?
I mean, you just gotta. That's a team, and I mean, when a coach is willing to question kind of the effort and the mindset of his team, I don't like to do that. But if a coach says it, it's the handcuffs come off, and so yeah, that was a team that didn't show up prepared to play, and I think that's more of a mental thing. Some people are going to hear that and think because they got slammed like that, this is a team that was unprepared from a film or coaching sense. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's a team that just wasn't prepared to get punched in the mouth. And you have to be. It doesn't matter. I mean, this league, every team, as we can see with Loyola Chicago, beating teams that have beaten SLU, you got to be ready to punch in this league every week. And they clearly took their feet off the gas pedal, and they took anything that they learned from the Dayton game, or they got them through VCU or got them through some games since then. They just ignored all of it, and they allowed themselves to be physically dominated and out-efforted. That's why they lost every second ball possible, and they never put themselves really in a chance to win that game after the first 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, but even after, we're down 9 at halftime and it's not looking great, they're not playing great. You've seen them have
Mhm.
a response at least, right? Like even at Dayton, I told we've recapped both of the week's games just to ground ourselves here a little bit. But I said to Zach earlier, even at Dayton, we got to within 11 after being down 25 in the first half, right? So it took a while and it wasn't the most convincing, and I didn't quite think we had it, but there was some kind of response, and in this game, it just kept going the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think the big difference there is that there was no hope of Robbie Avila being a stabilizing force. And I think even though he hasn't had the season statistically a lot of people expected, back in the good times before this game, Josh Schertz was talking about the all team the all conference teams and the player of the year and stuff like that. And he pointed out Robbie's per minute, he's even better than he was last year, and he's more efficient than he was last year. So having that as a stabilizing presence, I believe, has been a huge thing for the Billikens. And I firmly believe that if Robbie just doesn't play, it's probably a very different night. Or even if the results score wise is similar, our result of the game is probably very different. But seeing Robbie go out there, dealing with the plantar fasciitis. He picked up a bunch of early fouls, and the team falls apart as soon as he leaves the game, essentially. And then to not have that again, I think that was the biggest difference between the Billikens in January and the Billikens now. That's one of the differences. That's the mindset factor of things. How teams are playing them, how they're responding to the physicality, how they are creating advantages offensively. Those things obviously have changed and are not happening at the same frequency they were happening back in January. But I do think the stabilizing factor of Robbie Avila is a big reason why last night looked the way it did. They were going to lose that game the way they played, the mentality they had out there pretty much no matter what. But that made it, I think, as bad as it was. And that's why I think a lot of people are reacting the way they are.
Is this game, in your opinion, do you think is it a culmination or connected to the current, issue of the slow starts, or is it kind of an aberration from the other aberrations? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's elements of the slow start in there. There's elements of the same thing that caused the slow start. If we want to diagnose, a lot of us were asking the question, why were they starting slow? And I think the main thing is that the defense wasn't forcing bad shots anymore. And this isn't a team that forces a lot of turnovers. And so if they're not forcing bad shots, then the defense isn't going to be what it was to start the season. And so part of it is dealing with the fact that if they're not a great rebounding team and their only way to get turnovers consistently is to overhelp or to play kind of recklessly, and then that leads to more fouls or that leads to open shooters on some plays. That's I think them not being able to just stifle teams, because let's go back to the first Dayton game at home. They right out of the gate they stifled that team. There wasn't a good shot available to Dayton to start that game. And look at the beginning of these games. It's guys overhelping wide open shooters. It's how Hinton gets going at Rhode Island. It's how VCU has a good first half. It's how you get buried in the second, late in the first half and into the second half against George Mason. It's just bad defense is one issue. And so, yeah, I think part of that, and that's what was happening in those bad starts. The other part, again, is the physicality is just throwing the offense off. Teams have figured out in the A-10 that they can get away more often than not with hooking, grabbing, pushing, tugging, pulling, and that throws off the timing mentality of this flow offense. Now, if you ask the Bill, I literally just asked Schertz about running a little bit, running some more sets to kind of bake in, because this is exactly the way I formulated the question was, do you run more sets to start baking in more off ball movement, backside cuts, those kind of things, the natural things we all know create easy basketball offense, especially in offenses like Josh Schertz, going back to the Indiana State. And he maintains that there wasn't an offensive issue going into this game, and we'll see if he has a little bit of a different answer to a similar question later this week before the A-10 tournament, because I think it's pretty clear that the off-ball movements in the flow offense just aren't creating the advantages they were a month ago. It's just the shooters aren't getting open. The easy twos that this offense is supposed to generate, like that's I think the biggest thing. Why are the Billikens not as good as they were? Why do they start out slow? Because they went from being a team that hunted twos and got a lot of good threes because of it, to a team that, as people criticize them, will live and die by the three. And I think that's little mentality and how they play is one of the reasons they've gone from what they were with one loss to, relatively shaky over the last 6 games as they're 3-3.
So that's the offensive end, but I want to circle back to something you said about the defense, the bad defense. Do you think there's something that they've changed schematically about the defense, or are they just suddenly kind of losing is it mental breakdowns? Are they just not executing?
I don't think they're executing. I think we've been seeing this problem now, going back to really, I think the Davidson game is really where you first saw a team that was able to take advantage of the Billiken switching, and that's all you're trying to do. That's all you really want a basketball coach to do, is take what the other team does and find a way that you can turn it into an advantage for yourself. And so what Dayton, or what Davidson and Dayton and teams like that have done with their motion offenses is just create a lot of things that get the Billikens into these switch mistakes. They call them switch glitches, and that's been a lot of the issues lately. A lot of it has also been overhelping, and I really do think, like, we've had some games lately where the Billikens have put up solid, steal and block numbers, but I think they're the exact same games where guys are, when somebody drives in, instead of just like swiping and getting back to their man, they're turning their back to their man, going for the hard steal, and then that guy's wide open for the three, and they're not getting the steal because they don't really have that level of players. Like, we know they have good defenders. Amari's a good defender. Dion's a great defender. Q's a good defender. Q gets a lot of blocks and steals and things like that. Trey really tries. Robbie's gotten better to the point where they can now actually hedge and even blitz some pick and rolls where he gets out on the level of the screener, even with the screener, and you can see it changes how much space that screener has to decide whether or not he's going to drive or step out into a three-pointer. So, like, individually, they have all these players who have shown that they are either average, passable, or above average. So it all should work. That's why it did work. But I think we've gotten to a point where the defense has gotten a little cheaty, and it's not about 100% effort anymore. And that's why teams are taking advantage of them. And I think it is an execution factor because, defense is a lot about effort. And I give credit to guys like Bob Ramsey who always say that and things like that. There's a lot of schematic things going, but I don't think the Billikens are making huge schematic mistakes with their defense. I think this is a team that's always going to get by on 30 seconds of stifling defense. It's not an easy way to play defense. Not a lot of teams win that way. It's why when we talk about the tournament, the ability to create turnovers, finish possessions with rebounds, and then hit threes on the other end are like the three things we kind of talk about as ways that you can kind of consistently get wins in the NCAA tournament. And they don't really create the turnovers. They're not the best rebounding team. And right now they haven't created the open three-point shooting that we haven't seen. So, like, all those little, like, margin things that they were so good at that gave you a lot of confidence about their ability to maybe play Power 5 teams in the tournament, they're not doing a lot of them anymore.
Yeah.
Do you the vibe, right? Pete watched the Dayton game up close. I talked about the vibe. I think, even just watching in the arena, seeing the kind of pointing, the unsure of where to be. Do you think there's something within the communication and the team chemistry, or the coaching staff or in team chemistry, that's kind of been thrown off at all? That's, like, I'm imagining it's a lot of things all at once, right? I'm wondering, we've talked about schematically, but how about chemistry wise?
I mean, I think the chemistry between the players is fantastic. I think the idea of whether or not all the outside noise is starting to seep in, I think we can all agree yes. I mean, I know Nick Saban's a big guy who talked about that back when he wasn't completely full of shit. He would talk about rat poison and things like that. And like this is a classic case of rat poison, there's reports swirling around, the coach is meeting with the higher ups in another school when you're on a road trip. Like they're going to hear that stuff. Some of them are probably on Reddits and things like that. There's always one or two way too into social media guys in every group of people. But I don't think that they're letting that seep in. I think there might be a little bit of complacency when you see a number just under 30 next to your name, or you see, and that can both be in a win total and or a AP top 25 ranking. I think there's complacency is easy to settle in, but also, rogue thoughts about what might happen next year is also a thing. I just think I see a team that is close. A lot of friendships has formed, have a lot of chemistry on the court, and just being on the court during the net cutting on Wednesday, I didn't get a single vibe off from this team. I know that's a very positive, palpable moment, but it's also a moment where it's pretty easy to see if there's somebody who just isn't buying into the moment. And I didn't see that. They all seem pretty bought in. I do think there is an issue with having so few people who have any experience of playing meaningful basketball games in the new year. And that's something that none of these guys have ever. Deion Brown has never experienced playing a meaningful basketball game in the month of February. Quentin Jones has never played a meaningful basketball game in his college career in the month of February. Robbie Avila has, but let's keep cycling through this. And Kellen Thames, Amari McCautry. Amari McCautry had a big game in the A-10 tournament last year, had a solid run in the NIT, but these guys don't have a lot of experience going into game 31 or 32 and still playing with the same amount of effort and need to drive to win that they had to go into game 3. And I think that is something that we could also look at. This team has almost no real experience at doing this beyond Robbie. And once we get to the NCAA tournament, we are in uncharted territory with this group of players. And I don't think that's nothing.
When you look at a conference tournament, the A-10 tournament obviously is what we're looking at here. Do you want for a team that's a 1 seed and a probable at-large team that is not making things easier on themselves right now, but do you want the hardest path possible so that they can prove themselves and maybe win back a little bit better seed? Or do you just want the easiest path possible so they can win?
This is the most ridiculous shit. Like, this is why the NCAA sucks so bad. It's like Peter is willfully abusing him. He's choosing abusive choices to prove themselves. It's like joining a gang.
I have seen both of these points argued.
I get it though. With how much.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm blaming the system. Rage against the machine, baby.
I get fans who are kind of vacillating between the two things. Like I personally, my expectation, but like what I want to see this team do is I'm still in a similar mindset of January, which is how far can this team go? And I know a lot of people now are just like, get in, win a game, whatever. I don't want to go against a 1 seed. I want to see this team play better basketball before they get into the NCAA tournament. So I want to see them play good teams. Yes, winning the first game against GW or Fordham, and then playing well against George Mason or Dayton, but losing. They're still in the tournament. Maybe they drop to a 10 seed. I get why people want that, but this team's got a lot to show. I mean, they have to show that they can play through physicality. A George Washington game will be a good example of that. A George Mason or a Dayton game will be a good example of that. And obviously, having to beat VCU a third time in a season will be an incredible thing for the mindset of this team. What we were just talking about how they don't have anybody who's played meaningful games. They don't have many people who have played meaningful games at this point in the season. That's a meaningful game. And so if they win the A-10 championship, tournament championship, and they get the 8-9 seed, it is what it is. I'll be happier with that and the chance that they draw and the chance that they could take against the number 1 seed in round 2 than watching this team play like they did against George Mason a second time in the next week or two, and then maybe tripping over themselves as a 10 seed through round 1. Because the bottom line is, if this team can't beat George Mason a second time, if they can't beat Dayton a second time, or if they can't beat VCU a third time, if that's the matchup, then we're not talking about a Sweet 16 team anyway. So what does it matter really?
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I mean, there's part of me, like, I was trying to trace, like, what would our ideal path be? And I was looking at all the games on Saturday and how did I want all of those to break, so that we'd have the most favorable path possible. But now that we've got it, I think I'm with you, right? It's like, and I'm going to be there in Pittsburgh in person. And
Nice.
and I kind of just, I want
Rub
to
it
see
in.
the best competition possible. And I want to see them respond, right? When we recap these games, I told Zach, like, after that George Mason game, this is when the rest of the season story is written. This is where, if we win a tournament game, or if we sweep in Pittsburgh, or whatever, if there's a good outcome, this is where we hear about a closed door meeting that all the players got on the same page and woke up, or the best week in practice they had all season, or whatever the story is. That's like that last spark to get them through a successful end to the season. So I think I'm with you on that.
Tell you what, it'll be a great turn in the postseason video montage. All the national media people finally turning on the Billikens after they get destroyed by George Mason. Everyone loses faith. Will the coach leave? All that stuff. It really does write the script pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
Rock, how familiar are you with these A-10 schools, these A-10 teams, what they've been up to?
Listen, it's one of those things where I'll catch a game every once in a while, but I will put up the scoreboard because the way that this conference beats the crap out of itself is hilarious. The fact that Loyola beat George GW, the fact that Duquesne came back from 30 down, the fact that Fordham stomped Rhode Island, and I mean the Rhode Island game should have never happened, and it mainly shouldn't happen just because clearly, to Schertz's point, Jonah Hinton can't shoot like that any other day of his life, and so it's just it's the conference really lived up to its name this year. But heck, Lenardi has it as a 2-bid league right now, so I guess it didn't completely blow its own foot off yet.
I genuinely think it's a good possibility that 3 teams get in.
I think it's such a weird cannibalistic way that GW and VCU have to kind of pump their resume at this point, and I wonder just can they? I
think VCU gets in as a bid stealing at large. The Billikens get in, and then a third team steps up and grabs the championship.
But I mean, if VCU goes to let's say VCU goes to the
final
A-10 tournament title game, I just don't know who plays them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Well, I mean,
it could be Mason, but I mean, this is assuming.
Yeah, what's the wins above? What's their wins above bubble right now? Who's got the better wins above bubble between those two?
Yeah, no idea off the top of my head.
I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. Bubble, come on.
Listen. If everyone tells us this is what the tournament committee is going to look at, then we have to look at it, Zach.
I know. I don't really want to. This is my show, all right.
That's fair. VCU's is at 42. Jesus, I think, VCU is going to have to get to the title game, and they could get in as an at-large, and then Dayton's at 71, George Mason's at 78. So, the way it works is Dayton or George Mason win the A-10 tournament to get the automatic. VCU goes to the championship game, loses to them, and that gives them enough to get their spot. My issue with that though is to get the A-10 to the A-10 tournament game, they will where is the A-10 bracket, darn it.
Pittsburgh.
So you're saying what's VCU?
No. Yeah, who VCU?
Rhode Island or Duquesne, Davidson, Richmond, Loyola, St. Joe's.
So they're I don't know, their best win at that point is over St. Joe's.
Yeah, St. Joe's is the 3 seed.
Yeah, I just don't know if beating Duquesne, beating St. Joe's, and then losing to a team in the 70s in wins above bubble will give VCU enough of that last little heft to keep them above the at-large line. And that's why I don't think 3 is possible. I'd love for it to happen, but this is, they didn't shoot 1 foot, both feet off, but Loyola Chicago was able to kind of ruin enough of the weird things on the margins with a couple of their wins. And the Billikens didn't help losing to Rhode Island the way they did. Yeah, I just don't see it. It'll be close. VCU might be first 4 out at that point, but I don't see it happening. Even in a perfect world, I just don't see them giving a mid-major a second at-large bid when that mid-major is VCU's schedule.
Yeah.
Do you think that do you think there's a general difference?
They play
like a genuine difference between how good teams were in like 13, 14, 15 in the A-10, like when A-10 was getting 3 and 4 bids. Like,
yeah. Oh, my God,
I mean,
you think the quality of basketball?
Yeah, like top 3 teams in this league. Like, I feel like the top 3 teams should be in the tournament.
I mean, it's such a different world. I mean, we're talking.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're talking about a SLU team that lost 8 games and was a 4 seed.
Right.
And now we're talking about a SLU team that'll have potentially 5 losses. That'll have, maybe if they're lucky, a 9 seed. Like,
what's the change there? Like, what is the change? Like, I don't. I mean, obviously the A-10 sucks, but like
talent has matriculated to the talent is coalescing in the top leagues. That is a factual thing that studies have found. Based on how you want to weigh talent. Talent is reverse trickling. It's trickling up essentially is what's happening. NIL is causing that. That it's not going to surprise anybody, but that's essentially what happened. Is that talent has coalesced in the top 6 leagues, and when you're number 7. That means that, it's going to slip, but it undoubtedly has slipped. That's why we've gone from, 4 or 5, 6 A-10 teams in a tournament with, 8 losses in conference still giving you a really good season. That doesn't exist anymore in the A-10 because Power 5s and all this stuff has destroyed it. Like, you can just see it. I'm not sure if every number that like Miami, Ohio is throwing out is real, but we know based on the Billikens that teams do not want to play potential Q2 teams. If you're Gonzaga, they will play you if you're a mid-major. As long as you are a Q1 loss, we will play you fine. But unless you are a Q1 loss or a Q4 guaranteed win, they ain't scheduling you. And that's just the reality of the situation. It's the system is baked against the little guy. Welcome to America.
Yeah, Zach, the other factor is just the A-10 itself, right? Like even if talent were spread out the way it was 12, 15 years ago, the A-10 in 2013 had VCU, Butler, Charlotte. VCU was new to the league at the time, right? That was the year George Mason joined. Butler, Charlotte, Butler for 1 year. Xavier was still there. Temple was still there. All of those teams, and say what you will about what Charlotte and Temple and UMass have done since they've left, as they pursue football for whatever reason. The A-10 was just so much deeper when we had all of those teams there, and within a couple of years lost all of them.
I think we should try a new segment. Let's pick the Atlantic 10 tournament by 2/3 vote.
Ooh, okay, I like this. I like this. All right,
presented by, I don't know. No, presented by 2 Men in a Garden.
Yeah, you can't make up a new sponsor without them knowing. You have one.
Let's start with the 11:30 a.m. Game between LaSalle and St. Bonaventure.
Give me LaSalle in that one. They're so injured, but I think Bonaventure is just
dead in the water.
I don't think there's like a win one.
Oh no! Win one for the Gipper. Bonnie's
the Schmitter.
Bonnie,
Win one for the
win one for the
Schmitter.
Schmitter. Thank you. That's even
All right,
better.
Zach, you're the deciding vote.
Bonnie's get at least one, I think.
I got LaSalle.
No.
I got LaSalle. I like what
Down goes Schmidt.
Man, that's tough. Now I feel bad. Now I feel sad. Now I feel sad.
You two monsters can go hang out with woes while you ruin a beautiful man's career.
Oh, we already got in on Woj in this episode. Anyway, all right. 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Richmond Loyola, as they say in random places.
I just they're not getting another BS win. Them taking down GW is the last gasp of this terrible season for them.
Yeah, Richmond blew a 30-point lead on Saturday, and they're not gonna blow it to Loyola.
Yeah, they'll batten down the hatches if they have to win that one like 45-40.
Yeah,
there's a reason Mooney and March both begin with M. Richmond moves on.
There we go.
Fordham GW, the feeder game to our beloved Billikens, 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, March 12th.
Go ahead.
It's really hard for GW is just such a undisciplined team. But if Castro's playing, it's hard for me to see them losing. I know Fordham just rolled Rhode Island, but I think if Castro's playing, he gets them through at least Fordham. I'm taking GW.
Fordham has won 7 of 11. I think they've played really, really good defense over the last couple months. They really are starting to come into their own under a new coach who I like quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think Rock's right though. Like Castro is such a factor for me, and maybe it's just because I'm afraid of him. I think GW pulls that one out.
All right. GW moves on. My vote would be for GW just because I don't want to go against the grain. George Mason against LaSalle. I'm going to have to remember all these. This is the fatal flaw in this plan that I'm going to have to remember what the bracket looks like in my head.
You can do it. You can do
it. George Mason and LaSalle, 2 p.m. on the USA Network.
George Mason.
Yeah, that's Mason. That's an easy one. Whoever comes out of that game.
LaSalle. No, I'll go Mason too. 5 p.m. On USA. Sorry, 4 p.m. local St. Louis time. Duquesne and Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island shut the lights out against SLU, and I don't think they've hit a single 3-pointer since then. I think Duquesne has 2, to me, guards that can take over a game. And, the thing that's dangerous about them is when you're playing on consecutive days, I think like some crazy things happen in conference tournaments. And if one or both of those guys are going, I think they have enough good big men too, that they're just kind of a weird, dangerous combination. I'm taking Duquesne.
Yeah, absolutely taking Duquesne on that one.
Yeah, Duquesne, of course. Who wouldn't? Let's move on to the 7:30 matchup, 6:30. USA Network, Davidson against Richmond. Pete, we'll start with you.
This Davidson under Matt McKillop again is just they just feel like there's one missing piece from what they used to be. You look at them on paper, and they're just like kind of a weaker version of what they typically have been. I don't love them. That said, I think they're better than Richmond, and I think I think they've played twice this season, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. I like Davidson in this one.
Yeah, I'll take Davidson. This is an odd one. I don't really have a huge, strong feeling on this one, but yeah, I'll roll with the Wildcats.
March and McKillop. We'll start with them. All right, this is where the stripes show through. St. Louis University Billikens against George Washington, 11:30 a.m. Friday, March 13th, with Peter Hale in attendance.
Yeah, I will be there. I'll be a little bit late coming from Cincinnati that morning, not the night before, but I still think I'm worried about Robbie's foot. I'm worried about everything with my beloved Billikens, but I do think that there's going to be enough of a bucket of cold water after that George Mason game. I've been waiting for them to respond. Like we said when we were recapping those first two games, Zach, I've been waiting for the big response game, and we really have not gotten it. I'm going to go ahead and make a leap of faith that it happens here.
You're going to go for the fourth time's a charm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Castro, again, he'll be an impactful player, but it's going to be a really good test for the Billikens. You give them a few days to scout this team. They will find the same shots that they found in the first GW game in the second half. It'll be a great test for them. The Billikens will pass, and maybe it'll steady some people's opinions as they take down GW.
Two other points. GW is the absolute worst last minute team in this league. They have blown so many games.
So we just get to 39 minutes to play three.
If you're within one possession,
they were the one
last minute.
They were the one who threw the alley-oop, right? And God, that game was flipping hilarious. They're so inconsistent. And the only reason the Billikens didn't lose that game is because GW turned it over like 14 times as well. So yeah, they'll turn it over a bunch, and the Billikens hopefully can speed up the pace.
Yeah, I don't see them winning 2 games in a row in this tournament.
That's another thing. Is like remember how impossible last year felt, because there was like this team with the injuries and the short bench. This team cannot win multiple basketball games in a 48-hour period. And that's something I think the Billikens do have on some of these teams, is that when they're playing, because the Billikens still have the 9-man rotation. It can still lean on teams. They're still better later in games, except for the George Mason game. And so there will be maybe, I think, probably one of these tournament games where it looks like a team's playing the Billikens in the second half the entire time, and they'll win a game by 20, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have Mason and Dayton. They'll play 1 p.m. on USA. They know drama. No.
Yeah.
Characters welcome. No.
I don't know. Nobody
FX has the movies. That's all I know.
Nobody watches basic cable anymore, Zach. Anyway, I hate to be so chalky in this whole thing, but Dayton has just been playing such good basketball lately, and even though they lost to VCU, that's really been their only hiccup in several weeks now. And as much as Mason just gobsmacked us, they have not been playing their best basketball. I feel like that was maybe their last big,
Long's too inconsistent. That's the big thing. He's like, I know he's been dealing with some stuff. Even when he plays, he's too inconsistent, and maybe that's all behind him now. Maybe he does just put pedal to the metal from here on out. But Dayton's just listen. After the first game, obviously we had some thoughts, but clearly Grant knows what he's doing. He's a good coach. The kids are in good hands. He's coaching the U19 and U18 United States men's basketball teams. The kids are in good hands. Grant is a gamer, and
extend him.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, I legitimately do think he is a great coach. I think he has slip ups sometimes. I think his teams every once in a while will have blind sides that you can take advantage of. But I think legitimately, as he's shown this year, and as he's shown the men's basketball people for the U.S., he's a legitimately good coach, and I think he'll be able to scheme past an up and down George Mason squad.
Yeah. Dayton moves on. VCU against Duquesne. 4 p.m. on USA Network.
I mean, VCU, if for no other reason than as Rocchio outlined earlier, they have so much to play for. And Duquesne lately, like when they lose, they're scoring like 50. And so I know they have, like I just said, and I'm going to go against what I just said. They have those 2 guards who are so dangerous. They have a couple big men who are foul prone but dangerous. I just think VCU has a way more talent top to bottom. You get outside the top few on Duquesne, and there's not much left. That I think VCU, their combination of how bad they need it and just how much deeper they are and more talented, it's got to be VCU.
It should be VCU, but man, Ginyard and company are on a roll. I'm gonna at least force Zach to make a pick on this one. I'm gonna take Duquesne.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention. What game are we doing? Oh man. You're gonna make me do this to my boy Johnny.
How many times have we seen a guard like that take over and take a team through an entire conference tournament? Like that's a legitimate
it's always something like it's like Ginyard.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Just because the A-10 screws itself at every single turn.
There we go.
Duquesne over VCU.
There it is.
Duquesne, okay, all right. They're coming off 4 losses in a row, but whatever. What do I know?
There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
That 30-point comeback is going to propel them. Unlike what we use the reverse logic of George Mason.
I chose order, you chose chaos. I love it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's the theme of the show we do here.
So now the question is round number 3 between Dayton and Billikens.
No, we got one more.
No,
okay, more in the quarters.
I'm sorry.
It's almost he's hyped. He's hyped for Archbear and Cup.
It's almost like I'm not even looking at a bracket.
Way to come prepared. Davidson, St. Joe's, 7:30 on CNBC.
Oh God.
That'd be great if they put this on like C-SPAN.
What I'm trying to do with St. Joe's is to
that horrible of a matchup.
Are you still talking? Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to do with St. Joe's is kind of ignore that first game against SLU because they've been a completely different team since then. Yes. They've won 5 in a row, and a couple of those have been pretty close. But I still got to think over a Davidson team that I'm not too impressed with. St. Joe's, actually, their last game was at Davidson. It was a 3-point win. I think on a neutral floor, I feel a little bit better about St. Joe's.
Yep.
Yeah, I went against the current run of things in the previous take, so this time I'm going to roll with the hot hand.
Yeah, I agree. St. Joe's. I really like. I love. My favorite thing is watching. I can't think of their coach's name right now, but watching him just kind of like do his thing. Like it's very much like the Laura Herf, like Laura Herf with SLU field hockey comes in, no expectations, and just like fuck you, I'm a good coach.
Who was it one of the A-10 schools that had all the gum? Was that one of the A-10 schools?
That was Fordham.
That was okay. I was like, which damn team was that had all the gum? And I was like, wait a second.
All these different packs of gum lined up on the scorer's table next to the coaches.
It's so weird. It was such a weird thing when I saw it at the home game in Chaffetz this year.
I'm pretty sure it's Fordham.
So goofy. Yes, it is Fordham. I think you're right.
You know what? Hey, you know what? So they don't have to pee. You know, their mouth gets wet, but they don't want to.
They're not really chewing it during game. It's for like I think it's
for like making out with their wives and girlfriends afterwards.
It's for all the players. That's why they have all the different flavors. Oh. Every player's allowed to like tell the managers which flavor they want or which kind of gum they want. Because I mean, there was like 4 different flavors of Trident. There was 2 different kinds of juicy fruit.
Ew. Who was rocking the Trident?
Not Trident? Sorry, not
what 7th-year senior with no teeth?
It wasn't Trident. It was Take 5.
80-year-old senior.
I got my T's mixed up. It was Take 5. So they had like 5 different flavors of Take 5 gum. They had juicy fruit. So when you said the Richmond coaches does their thing, I'm like, is he the coach that does their thing with the gum? No, I think Peter's correct. That is Fordham. But Richmond St. Joe's is a weird matchup. But yeah, I'm rolling St. Joe's. I think they got to take that one. See if I can find this photo.
That entire rant brought to you by the guy that tried to move us ahead of this last matchup to go to Dayton and St. Louis. He was on the other. He was already on to the next one.
I know somewhere I have a bunch of.
Now he's stuck on the gum. Pete, what do you think about this Dayton St. Louis?
Are we ready for Dayton? I'm ready for Dayton St. Louis. I don't think I would be able to face my children tomorrow morning if I said Dayton.
I've
got to go St. Louis. I just think like if not now, when? You know, like if not now, like when are you guys going to show that pride and beat your rival and show up? I do think it's fascinating. I actually think this is the most interesting matchup of the whole tournament because you have 2 teams that blew out the other team on their home floor, and now you come to a neutral floor. And
The irresistible force versus the immovable object.
Yeah, I gotta go with Slew here. I have to. But I am really, really interested if this is the matchup we get, if both teams take care of business against lower seeds. I'm fascinated by how they're going to come out in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that's why I want to see it happen. If they do play Dayton a third time, it's going to be tricky. Which parts of the first game show up? Which parts of the second game show up? Better chance that it looks like the second game, just because that's how the Billikens have looked lately. But if they can figure out the physicality thing, if they can start turning other teams overplaying them with aggressiveness into an actual edge for them, then they can beat this Dayton team. If they can't, then they can't beat this Dayton team, and it's not going to matter because they're going to lose early in the NCAA tournament.
God damn, he's a nihilist. He doesn't believe in anything.
He's right though.
That matchup would take place at noon on Saturday.
You can't quote the Big Lebowski right around what I think is one of the greatest lines in that entire thing, which is he's got mental problems. He's a pacifist. I did not know that, and he throws the ball and shuts the door in the car. He's a pacifist. I did not know that. God, I love that movie. Sorry, had to. You can't talk Big Lebowski and not expect me to go on a tangent.
2:30 p.m. on CBS Sports, not the Golazzo Network. Rocchio.
No, that's where you can find me sometimes calling a little ambush soccer.
Yeah, little plug there for you.
Thank you.
We got St. Joe's and your Duquesne Dukes.
Look,
I almost forgot.
If Duquesne won 2 games in 2 days, they're gonna win a third.
By the way, it is Trident gum.
There we go. There we go.
Nice butt. Look at the
bad
butt on that.
Yeah, no, I had to grab
He
the butt of the
must
assistant
work
coach
out.
in there. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different kinds of Trident. There's a packet of Halls, a thing of juicy fruit, and this is the one where we're dealing
These
with
are the
children
oldest
still.
players ever.
No. Wait for it. In between, smack dab in between the 5 different flavors of Trident, there is a packet of Airhead gum.
Airhead gum. Okay.
Airhead gum. Yep.
What's your gum? What's your gum?
I do
Before we get into this. Well, hold on. Pick the semifinal, then we'll get into the gum.
All right. So who's the bottom semifinal again?
St. Joe's and Duquesne.
I'm gonna go. I'll roll with Peter on this one. Duquesne gets out of it in the first round or two, but the hot run of St. Joe's takes out Duquesne in this one.
Ooh, okay, Zach, you're the decider.
I'm going to. We need good vibes for our boy Johnny. Duquesne moves on. They ride that 30-point comeback even further.
All right, I like that.
All right.
What's your go-to gum? What do you?
I believe it is Take 5. Take 5 watermelon.
Pete.
I don't really have a go-to.
Oh God.
Sometimes my wife has it around. I think the 5 spearmint is probably the one that's around most.
This is I obsessively chew this.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, I'm with
the Mentos Pure Fresh Mint. Yeah.
So we got a championship game. We got a championship game of Billikens versus Duquesne.
Yes.
Wait, did you say Duquesne or St. Joe's? You said
Duquesne.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll go Slew. I don't love a third time against Duquesne. I was looking at them as a potential 8 that we could run into depending on how things shook out. With them and George Washington and Fordham and Rhode Island over the last week. And I don't love the idea of a team that's played us close twice, getting a third bite at the apple. But on a neutral floor, I do think we just have too much depth for that team. They've given us fits for 3 out of 4 halves, but the fourth half at our place, we really ran away from them. And I think we get at least one half like that against them in a final.
Yeah, I'll take you on that one. At that point, if the Billikens have won 2 games at that point, another game in a row, Duquesne's had a longer road than the Billikens will have at that point. They'd be able to lean on Duquesne. That's potentially the game where if it does break out that way and they're not facing VCU in the championship game, whoever they are facing, if they make it there, I think the Billikens will handle them.
Yeah.
That's the saving grace, I think, for the Billikens in this tournament with their with the run of form is that they have that depth, and they are only going to play 3 games in 3 days. Now, that's why you have that depth, and so I'm just nervous. I'm nervous.
Maybe change the starting lineup.
Yeah, so we got the Billikens winning it all over Duquesne. And that is odd. Honestly, our bracket is the worst case scenario for the Atlantic 10, which I think is perfect because it's exactly what would happen at the A-10. That's what the A-10 is built for. Rock, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for doing this last minute, late notice. Glad to have me, guys. Glad to talk some ball and get some fresh takes on the old pod.
Were you guys super freaking out and depressed this morning?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say this morning was any worse than it was yesterday in the immediate aftermath of the game. I'm not in a great place.
That's my baseline right now. So nothing has changed in the.
All right. Let me ask one more question then. Where is your current percentage on Josh Schertz coaching the St. Louis Billikens in 2026-2027?
Zach, you want to go first?
What are you doing to me right now?
I'm just asking.
Why are you bringing this up? Why would you do this
60,
to me?
60.
Because I feel like it.
I think it's 100.
I feel like it would be irresponsible to do a Billikens podcast and not talk about that.
I think it's 100. I think the commitment's there. I don't think he's going to be if this season right now, if this season is heading in the trajectory it's heading, he's not going to be in demand anywhere. The thing is I think the powers that be, and by the powers I mean the people with money, are ready to pony up. Now if Michigan State comes calling or top 10.
I think those ones are all.
Top 10 is the only one, and I don't think he's ready to make that move to the NBA.
I'll admit this. I do think that the reality of winning 27 games in the regular season and winning an A-10 conference tournament and still getting the 8-9 seed line, I think that could break a little bit of his brain. I think there could be a little bit of
schedule better, Josh.
This is but we talked about that earlier. They tried to get Iowa for a game, and then they tried to get Iowa for.
That's your boy. He's obviously not your friend.
And then is
all that sudden, your friend at that point? I don't buy that.
How many? I mean, it's his friend. But at the same time, it's his friend who's also trying to protect his $1 million job. So, you get that too. So, I do think that there is. I do kind of wonder. I'm like, could there be something where he goes, all of that? I win 30 regulars. I win 30 games total. I win 30 games total. I win 29 D1 games, and all I get is an 8 seed. That's what I have to deal with for the next 3 or 4 years.
I don't like your tone, Rock.
I don't like it either. But this is unfortunately what I've been thinking about since this morning, because that is a reality that he has to then be like, okay, this is what I have to do every year. And yes, if he can convince teams that he will be a Q1 loss, the scheduling things change. But I don't think this year is going to change enough for the Billikens to the point where they're going to get more than one P5 team on the schedule.
I think they are working on those things, from what I understand.
I believe they are.
Look, I think pragmatically speaking, I think he's what's the move? Where do you go?
Which one of you found the tweet? That's incredible. The word gum isn't even in there, Peter.
I knew where to look.
You magician. Nicely played. Good job using the gum photo to pull us back out of the malaise. Good job there.
What did we just do? Oh, here we go.
You guys found, Peter found the Fordham coach tweet I put out about the gum. Good job on that one.
90-year-old is chewing on halls or sucking on halls.
I think that's the coaching staff. The rest of it's the players. The thing that bothers me the most about it, by the way, is there's two different kind of orange flavors. And like one of them's tangerine and one of them orange, and that pisses me off.
The fact that they make two different flavors like that.
Yes, it infuriates me.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's too much. Pick a citrus.
Anyway,
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't even want to think about it right now. Like I'm
That's
trying
fair.
to stay in the moment. I'm trying to gains, the situation.
Little Sunday scaries for you.
No Sunday scares. Dude, like I don't think that's his. Like I don't think he's going to immediately. Like I don't think he wakes up and realizes this, and is suddenly driven to heat up the coaching, heat up his rise in the game. I don't think he operates on that sort of impulsivity. He hasn't changed his fucking lineup.
That's a good point. That's a
So,
good point.
Yeah,
I like that.
so that's I think we're gonna leave it there because why not? Thanks, Rock. Appreciate
No
you
problem,
coming
guys.
on, man.
Thanks for having
We'll
me.
see you soon.
See you guys later.
Thanks. See ya.
All right, Pete, let's talk about the women's basketball team. Not good things. All conference, Alyssa Korkenmeier was named the A-10. Well, sorry, this is a good thing. Let me rephrase. Alyssa Korkenmeier was named the A-10 rookie of the year and was also named to the third team all conference and to the all rookie team, Pete.
Yeah, fantastic. We haven't done this yet because of how this season has gone, but I do think we need to take a minute to appreciate what SLU has in Alyssa Korkenmeier. She led the league in both rebounding and blocks as a freshman. She finished right around the top 20 in scoring, second in field goal percentage, top 25-ish in free throw percentage, tied for the league lead in double-doubles with 11 going into the conference tournament, where she picked up more. Had the most assists of any center in the A-10, started every game and was right around the top 25 cutoff point in minutes per game in the league. Rookie of the week 6 times, more than anyone else in the league, in what I think was a really solid rookie class, especially when you look at the men's side, and it was a pretty weak rookie class. When teams played against SLU, she was the player they planned around, Zach, and she still managed to be really, really productive. I think third team is a little... I think they only put her there because they tend to, when there's kind of a toss-up, they give it to the more veteran players, right? I think she absolutely was worthy of like a second team nod in this league this year, but nonetheless, she's a fantastic player. She's the focal point. And we saw that on display in the A-10 tournament when they started out in the pillow fight, unfortunately, Zach, on Wednesday the 4th against 14 seed Fordham. But fortunately, the Bills did win 68-60 as the 11 seed. And before we get going on this game, I think we do need that disclaimer. SLU should never really be in the pillow fight in a men's or women's basketball game, right, Zach?
No, not at all. This game was a better viewing experience than the first two against Fordham, luckily. It came down to which team could make plays, not which team happened to make one fewer mistake. Korkenmeier was the star of this one, and really both games for the Billikens. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 blocks. She had 5 turnovers as well, but she was the focal point for Fordham's defense. SLU also built their offensive game plan around her, and they fed her well. She delivered the mail carrier, if you will. The Amazon driver. Well, I'm workshopping Gen Z nickname.
Yeah.
I have an issue with early on, like the commentary talked twice about Korkenmeier being in demand by other teams. Like that's crazy to me that the announcer hired by the conference is talking about this player will be desired by all these programs. And she hasn't even expressed any thoughts about whether she wants to do anything. What are we doing?
Yeah, I went back and listened to that because you tweeted out angrily in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I went back and listened, or was it in the third quarter? No, you must have tweeted out when it happened. But during the third quarter, I actually went back And so it was coming out of the media timeout in the first quarter. And I thought it was pretty mild. It sounded like one of those things that the guys, as they were, or the crew, as they were doing their research on each team, he must have asked, Tillett about it or something like that. And Tillett acknowledged that it's reality that players are free agents every year. And it sounded like pretty mild on both sides. But I think I agree with you in that the fact that it came up at all is pretty unexpected, right? Like just flat out acknowledging that tampering is happening with a freshman who's playing in the game.
Zion Nugent in this one added 14. Jada Dennis finished with 13. Slew had an efficient day shooting the ball, 46% overall, 50% from three, and 80% from the line. Also, I just didn't know why they even brought it up. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fordham kept it close with offensive rebounding. They had 18 and 1 second chance points, 20-10. But they just don't do enough else to win. The Billikens followed that off with a predictable loss to the 6 seed LaSalle on Thursday the 5th.
Yeah, 59-51. SLU trailed the entire time, but they got to within 4, 55-51 with 1:13 left. They had fouls to give and then proceeded to let LaSalle dribble around for 26 seconds before fouling the first time.
Crazy.
Then they played straight up defense for another 17 seconds until LaSalle missed a layup. So then they call a 30-second timeout to advance the ball with 29 seconds left. And out of that came Denis going to the rim and trying to force a layup against two larger players. She had her all-conference center trailing right behind her. She had open shooters on the perimeter. Didn't even come close to getting off either an open shot or drawing a foul. So when you combine the inexplicable time wasting, the bad shot attempt with some confusing substitution patterns, like having Bell Tillett and Jada Tiggett on the floor for several offensive possessions in the final few minutes, Zach, I thought this was just a clinic on how not to coach a game in crunch time. Like just so many unforced errors here in a game that they could have pulled out, just down 4. I don't get it.
Yeah, it was frustrating. And again, you're down. You need a 3, and you've got a player in the game that, despite some aberrations here at the end of the season, cannot shoot threes or doesn't score in any way.
Doesn't even gets the ball and does not look at the rim.
Doesn't even look at the basket.
Yeah,
it's like it's bizarre, and I mean it seems ridiculous that you don't even turn to. It took this long to get Mia Bergstrom's confidence even remotely back to where it was before it was destroyed over the last year. I
don't get it. And Jada Tiggett, I really like her as a defender. She doesn't really bring much to the offensive end. So, you've got fouls to give. You don't need to burn all your timeouts, right? Foul, make the sub. I just didn't get it at all. But SLU had problems scoring the whole game before showing some life in the fourth quarter. They shot just 31.6% overall, 25% from 3, which for them, honestly, is pretty average. Solid defense kept them in the game, I think. LaSalle led by as much as 11 at one point, but they never really put SLU completely away. And, we've been on the other side of this with the men's team a lot this year, and it's just – you hate letting teams hang around like that. Kirkenmeyer was the star yet again. 18 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks. She went 8 of 11 from the free throw line. Unfortunately, she did miss a front end right around the 2-minute mark, which was a little bit painful because she was so good before that. From the line, 37 minutes, which is crazy for a 6'6 freshman. What a season. What a player. I love Kirkenmeyer. Former Billiken Ashley Connor led LaSalle with 16 points and 8 assists, with 10 of those points coming in the fourth quarter. Big clutch performance. Yep. She had a big game when SLU won at LaSalle in January. So now she got revenge in this one. Her effort did not go to waste. Just to wrap up the tournament before we ask a few questions about this program, Zach. One seed Rhode Island got the auto bid out of the A-10 as the tournament went 100% chalk. They beat two seed George Mason in the final. I honestly thought three seed Richmond had some juice and would three-peat as champs, but they came up short this year. At number 49 in the net, I think they might be just outside of the at-large bid too. I hope I'm wrong though. George Mason is next at 60. I think they're not going to be getting an at-large bid. So hopefully they get into, but I'm thinking probably it's just Rhode Island. But to circle back to the big questions for this program, Zach, do you think this is it for Rebecca Tillett at SLU? What do we think here?
Gun to my head.
Sure, that's what I do.
I know. Do people not realize that? It's really dangerous for me? Yeah, I think she's got a intriguing enough class coming in locally.
So you think
I think she's going to end up getting. I think that with what they're going to try to throw at shirts
Mm-hmm.
and the NIL, I think they're more than happy to let her contract just expire. And I mean, if you can keep unless there's it's going to be tough because you don't want to lose Kirkenmeyer. If you do, I don't know. I think she'll get another year. If she can't retain Kirkenmeyer, she may not get another year.
Yeah, so that's going to be a really interesting. So it's been what 3 days since they lost, right? It's Sunday night. They lost on Thursday. Nothing's happened yet. My hunch is that I don't know anything about her contract. It's private, but my hunch is that there's 2 years left on it. This was year 4. I had heard it was either a 6-year deal or she got a 1-year bump with that tournament appearance in the first year. So my hunch is there's 2 more years, and I don't think SLU's going to eat 2. I think they would eat 1 if next year is bad enough. But like you said, they've got 2 local freshmen coming in. If you could hang on to Kirkenmeyer, even with those freshmen coming in, between graduation and the scholarships that they either didn't fill this year or the players that left, they have 5 scholarships to give, right? So if you look at all the returners as more, except Kirkenmeyer, as more like role players, and you go out and get a group of like true starters, like 3 or 4 starters, transfers, or maybe there's another freshman in the spring out there somewhere, there actually is a map to a big improvement this next season. But number one, you got to retain Kirkenmeyer, and number 2, you have to kill it in the portal. And I think it's going to take a little NIL commitment, and I don't know what is there for this program, right? So I think that's really the big question. What's the NIL situation, and what's going to be the impact? Can they retain Kirkenmeyer regardless of who the coach is?
Yeah. Pete, should we head over to the Diamond where things were good this weekend?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, it didn't start off. The week was not great, but the weekend turned out sunshiny and beautiful. A 3-2 loss in 10 innings against Western Illinois Tuesday the 3rd. The Leathernecks hit a solo shot in the top of the 10th to break a 2-2 tie, then hung on for the win. The Billikens runs came on solo shots from Ifrig and Beatty. A 2-1 win against Bradley on Friday the 6th. Beatty hit another solo shot in this one, and this one was the game winner. Bills used 4 pitchers, and Colin Hawkins got the win in middle relief. Pete, talk about these final 2 games for baseball.
Yeah, fun one on Saturday the 7th. 9-7 was the win over Bradley in game 2. Production was really spread out. Ifrig was the only Billiken with a multi-hit game, and Austin Newig led SLU with 3 runs. Beatty homered again, this time a solo shot in the 3rd. And then 4-1 on Sunday the 8th, Zach, for the sweep. That's another one, just like they did to Bellarmine last week. Ian Halverson scored twice. Beatty hit 2 RBIs, and Ifrig and Joey Canzioni hit the other 2 runs home. Noah Andrunas got the win with 6 shutout innings, and Drew Welk picked up the save. The homestand continues with Illinois State in town for a one-off game on Tuesday the 10th. followed by the A-10 opening series against our hated rivals, the Dayton Flyers, on Friday through Sunday. So things get really fun this weekend, Zach.
Much like the summer break in the early 2000s, the non-conference baseball slate seems to get shorter and shorter.
It really does. It really does.
Um,
I think that every year.
on the softball diamond, the Billikens took one of three at George Washington. They started out with a 6-4 win on Saturday the 7th. GW got out to a 4-0 lead. SLU rallied to tie it in the third with 2-run homers from none other than Abby Mello and Carson Janney. Then Mashmallow had a 2-run single to give SLU the lead for good in the 7th. They turned around and dropped a Saturday decision 6-0. This was a game where the bats just did not show up. The Billikens had 3 hits, 2 of them from Scout Gallagher, the best name in college softball. And then a 6-2 loss at GW Sunday the 8th. The Billikens got in a 5-0 hole in the first 2 innings and couldn't dig themselves out of it. Janney had 2 of the team's 3 hits, both RBIs, which came on a double in the 4th. Next up, they'll head to SEMO for a game on Wednesday, the 11th, before hosting the Joeys for a 3-game weekend series Saturday and Sunday. Pete, rackets and balls.
Yeah, the tennis teams played the same schedule this weekend. They both went to Southern Indiana on Friday, and then they played Austin Peay in Paducah, Kentucky on Saturday the 7th. Why Paducah? I don't know. But at Southern Indiana, the women won a 4-2 decision. They dropped the doubles point, but Emerson White, Nicolai Ferreira, Madison Hill, and Elizabeth Choate won in singles to bring home the win. Against Austin Peay, they were shut out, swept 4-0. Emerson White and Madison Hill won at number 1 doubles, but that was it. Next up, they host Omaha and Bradley at the Dwight Davis Tennis Center on the 14th and 15th. On the men's side, they flipped the results. They lost to Southern Indiana on Friday, 4-1. Riki Koshimizu got the Bills' only point with a singles victory. And then they beat Austin Peay 4-2 in Paducah on Saturday. Koshimizu, Luca Leonardo, Valentin Vasquez, and Andres Castellanos all won in singles play after SLU got the doubles point. Unlike the women, they're actually off this week. They will resume on March 21st and 22nd when they head to Davidson, North Carolina to take on the Wildcats, along with Dayton, who's going to be joining in the fun that weekend, Zach.
The only thing I can think of with that is that, like, Southern Indiana or Austin Peay was in, or SLU was in Evansville, Indiana, and Austin Peay was wherever they were, and they met in the middle.
Yeah. Saving money on those non-rev sports.
Yeah. The postseason A-10 awards. Should we just get into did we send them into 3-Bid League yet?
I have not sent them in yet, but I'll go over these next week and not this week because this is going to be a this coming week story, right? As we head into the A-10 tournament. So they haven't been submitted yet. I've had them here for actually most of the season, Zach, but we'll share them next week.
Okay, sounds good. All right, roll Bills.
Roll Bills.